Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself, you will survive. Just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life.
Everybody, it's Marlene of Marlene Motivates, and also for the Marlene Saunders Show and Podcast. And today I'm doing an interview, and this interview is all about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we know that the month of October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I have an interview with a breast cancer survivor, and I'm going to invite her up and I'm going to let her talk about everything that she wants to share about her story. But this is for the Pink in the City event. So I'm going to invite up my guest, Maryann, and I'm going to let her share her testimony.
Hey, everybody. Nice to see you. I'm Maryann Williams. I am a breast cancer warrior. I was diagnosed in 2018 with stage 2 breast cancer. And much like anything that you try to do and be successful with it, breast cancer kept coming back. I am a warrior because now I am what they call stage 4, but I am trying to manage and maintain. I encourage everyone to get your mammograms. It's so very important, whether you male or female. If breast cancer comes as a part of your family or cancer in general, please get your screenings. Early detection is the cure for this thing. You know, early detection. Being diagnosed, I thought it was probably the worst news you could ever receive, but I turned that into making it the best for me because I live my very best life, as they would say. I don't take moments for granted. I don't take relationships for granted. You know, hearing the word cancer can cause some people to stop and freeze. It caused me to do that. But then when you thaw out and you try to get yourself motivated and navigate it, you look at the things that you can be thankful for. So this October, Pink in the City in Saunders, South Carolina, we're painting the city pink. I'm part of a book. It's called High Heels and Low Places that we are releasing on October 1st. And it's a testimony of 22 African-American women. And all of us are in various stages in our journey. Some are stage 0, some are stage 4, like myself, in the metastatic breast cancer. But it's a book about hope, a book about love, a book about overcoming challenges. It is great. If you're in Saunders, South Carolina, we encourage you to come out to the Civic Center. I think that's what it's called. And in fellowship with us. There'll be vendors there. It's a great community day, and you'll meet the authors of this book. It is a great time. And it's a great time to ask someone to say, hey, have you had your mammogram? Or if you need information on ways to, once you've been diagnosed, a lot of what we eat and drink contribute to our health, and say to your friend, hey, let's check out some healthy ways of eating and drinking and exercising. Let's get our mind and our body together. So it's Pink in the City in Saunders, South Carolina, High Heels in Low Places. Marlene?
Awesome. So those of us who are not in South Carolina, is there a way that we can buy that book? Is there a way that I can link that book so that others can buy it?
Yes, I am on Facebook, Maryann Williams. I am on IG at Maryann for You. I think it is. I'll have to give you my IG. But I also have a website. It's williamsmaryann.com, and it'll tell you all about me and my story.
Awesome. So I want to ask you some things that I'm sure my audience would like to know. when did you say you got diagnosed in 2018? Were you just going for a regular mammogram and found out?
No, I'd actually had a lump in my left breast, but because I was a woman that had very dense breasts, I didn't think anything of it. What ended up happening was I had gotten this itch early in the year. I generally get my mammograms in October. Just it made it easier for me. But earlier in the year, I remember having an uncontrollable itch on the left breast that I could not get rid of. And by summertime, I had started having little speckles of blood in my bra. But I thought it came from the fact that I had scratched so much. I distinctly remember getting ready to go out with some friends, and I came home. It was hot, and I came home to take a shower, and where I was living, the bathroom was white. And when I got ready to dry myself off with the towel, blood spewed everywhere from my left breast. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what this is. And then I thought it was because I had been scratching so much. By the time, I'd gotten to meet up with my friends, the blood had already made a circle in my blouse. And they were like, what is going on with you? And I was so embarrassed. And I was like, I don't know, maybe I spilled something. And I really didn't think more of it other than the fact that I had been scratching, and I started trying to put creams on and such, and doing the self-examination. I said, well, this feels a lot more different than the other one. Well, and when I went to see my gynecologist, she told me that they said, go ahead and schedule your appointment with the breast surgeon. And I said, well, don't we want to wait for the mammogram to come back? And she was like, no, go ahead. And, and so at that point, that's when I got diagnosed.
Wow. So at this point, I know that it's very scary to get that diagnosis. Were you with somebody to get the support when you found out, or were you by yourself?
When I found out, I'm single, so I called my family, and they have been very supportive. I have an uncle who has been there from the day I was sitting to wait to get the film, as they call it, to take over to the doctor, through the various rounds of radiation and through all of the surgeries. From January to June, I've had 6 surgeries in 2018.
Wow.
Yes.
So what kinds of advice would you give to anyone who, because I know especially in the Black community, it's a big deal where, we don't really care about going to the doctor, and we try to put things off, or we try to say, oh, that's nothing, I just have been working too hard, or I'm just stressed, or it will go away. What encouragement could you give to anyone out there to go and get their regular checkups?
I would encourage you, the moment you feel something abnormal, or you think that it's abnormal, to go get it checked out. Now, having the extreme itch in February, I wouldn't say that my diagnosis would have been any different from February to October. I don't know. So I don't beat myself up about that. But certainly in the summertime, when, I was scratching so much, I should have gone at least to the dermatologist and say, hey, what's wrong with my skin? Because I changed everything from laundry detergent to perfumes, thinking it was those things. So I encourage people to at least get your screenings. That's all that they are. They're screenings. And if you're afraid the procedures themselves do not hurt, uncomfortable a little bit, but they don't hurt. And I tell people what I did usually before I was diagnosed. I would tell them, hey, I'm going to have my girlfriend open this up, and she would get my screening, and she said, oh, you won an Oscar. You're good this year. You know what I mean? So, because if you think that it's going to be difficult to read. The results are going to be difficult for you. Let somebody you trust get those results so that you can know what you can do. Yeah.
Right. I think that a very important thing that you mentioned. It's very important to have somebody that you supports you and that you feel that love, because it's a scary thing that even before you even find out anything, you just like, what's gonna happen? You shouldn't have to go through that alone.
Yes. Now I'm a part of a support group here in South Carolina, but you do not have to be in the South Carolina area because I live in Maryland. It's called Faith Strong. They are not for profit, and they're a group of women who talk about you have a moment where you get to talk about your diagnoses, but from that point on, it's all about living. And we do not talk about stages other than the initial meeting when you come in and if you want to share that. But once a month we meet. I do it virtually again because I live in Maryland. Um, and we talk about healthy ways of eating. Sometimes we talk about the symptoms that everyone has that are common with maybe radiation or chemotherapy, and some of the things that we do or have done to help us cope with getting treatment. Once a month, the support group provides nourishment bags, if you will, to the members here in Sumter, South Carolina at the treatment center. Because when you go being on chemo, I take chemo by a pill. So I haven't been on the drip, but I understand the drip takes hours. And so you may get hungry, or your support person may get hungry. So they provide like snack bags and different kinds of things to provide comfort, warm socks. I can tell you, if you ever hang out with me, it's always 85 degrees in my car because I'm colder than everybody else. And so little blankets and things of that nature. So I'm a part of the Faith Strong support group. That's how the book got birthed. The support group leader wanted to do something to reach more than just the women here in South Carolina.
Wow. That's so amazing that you are a
Yes.
part of a supportive group of women. The next question that I want to ask you: what are some of the symptoms that like some warning signs, something to look out for?
So some of the warning signs that you could look out for, like I say, the uncontrollable itching, um, monthly self examinations are very important. If your one nipple starts to look more inverted than the other side, that is some of the signs that you can definitely look for. But the biggest key is getting that mammogram, because from one year to the next, things can change. Hopefully they don't, but at least you have a mile marker to go to. You know, again, I don't know, and my doctor and I talked about it, and we don't know whether from February to October would have made any difference. But certainly, when I started experiencing the uncontrollable itching in February, I should have said, "Hey, is this a sign of breast cancer?" I just thought it was laundry detergent, perfume, clothing, and things of that nature. So.
Well, I am so glad that you actually went, because I know, just like most people, that's the hardest thing, to be able to admit things to yourself. Maybe I do need to get these things checked out. And I think that's important for you to have that kind of conversation, and for other people to hear this conversation, that it's okay. Go to a doctor. If something doesn't feel right or look right, go and see a doctor.
And I know from talking to others, sometimes it's challenging because folks may not have the proper health care that may cover that. But speak with your doctor and say, I really need this. Are there programs that are out there? When is the mammo van going to come out so that I can get these screenings, so that, I can make sure that I'm okay?
Right. I think that that's something very important because not everybody has access to affordable healthcare. Not everybody, especially during these times, what we just came out of a pandemic, we are a lot of us are struggling to be able to
Right.
afford healthcare. So it's a wonderful option to be able to have services such as you said it was the
Faith.
screening van.
Yeah. Yeah. The screening vans. And talk to your talk to your you and your church leaders and your members, and people in your community, say, hey, we need this, so that you can advocate for that in your area. Speak with your doctor. I don't have health care for this. Where can I go to get this? Now, it may be a little bit of a distance for you to travel to get it on a certain day that may not be so convenient on your calendar, but it's your health. It's the only body that you get, so make it a priority.
Yes. And I think that that's an important thing that you just said. It's important for us to make ourselves a priority because, especially as women, I don't mean men any less, but especially as women, we feed and pour love into everybody else, but we forget about ourselves. So it's very important for us to take care of our own health. So, in conclusion, I just want to ask you: is there anything that you want to encourage the audience, anybody who is listening right now, to what should they do? And what if they have somebody like some encouragement to, like, if they know somebody who has breast cancer, how can they be supportive as well?
So, the first thing that I can say to encourage anyone that has breast cancer, or any type of cancer, know that, no matter what stage you are, know that you are not alone in this fight. Um, as a friend, as an advocate, I think some people think that we can fix this. You know, Mom is sick, my sister is sick, I want to fix her. And this diagnosis is not one that can be fixed. It can be managed, but it can't be fixed. Awareness, I can't stress enough the importance of self care when it comes to walking and exercising. Walking just in general, helping you empty out your mind. I remember my doctor telling me, Maryann, the stress will kill you faster than the cancer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's important to find some activities to get moving, and being from the South, I love some of the foods that I grew up on, but it wasn't always the healthiest thing. So if there's a way that you can substitute and start looking at your diet, that would be really, really great as well. To be there for someone. There are days when the person is going to say, "Why me?" and the tears are going to flow. I am a spiritual person, and even Jesus himself wept when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane. So if he had to take a moment to weep, and he is who he is, the sovereign God of the universe, then we allow that person to have their moment, but don't allow them to stay in it. Say, okay, I'm going to let you have your moment, whether that's a day or two, but then say, okay, well, now let's start to get to living. We got to fight. So this is how we're going to fight.
Right.
So
That's wonderful encouragement because I think sometimes we don't know what to say. And
yes,
it's very important to hear from someone who is a survivor, a champion, a warrior for this. And we are so proud of you, and anybody who is going through breast cancer, or they have a family member or a friend who is surviving it. We just want to give you a big hoorah. We're proud of you,
yes,
and to keep going and to keep fighting.
yes. Thank you. Yes,
Well,
it's
thank you
very
so much.
encouraging.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm going to have all Maryann's information linked in the description box and the comment section. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Be encouraged, Be inspired. Be yourself. You will survive.